Once upon a time, in a bustling town, lived three friends, Clara, Tim and George. Each of them had a different relationship with money, and their spending habits were affected by prices in very different ways. One day, they set off to a local market to buy goods, and this became an unintentional lesson in the ranges of elasticity in economics. Clara was a lover of luxury goods. She adored high-end fashion, fine wines and lavish vacations. When she arrived at the market, she spotted a beautiful designer handbag that caught her eye. The price tag, however, was higher than she expected. The next day, the store raised the price of the bag even more. But as she walked around the market, she overheard other shoppers talking, "If the price keeps going up, I'll just get my bags from another designer store." Clara soon realized that she wasn't the only one who loved designer handbags. If the prices of these goods increased too much, many people would find alternatives or choose not to buy at all. Clara's story illustrates a good example of elastic demand. When prices of luxury items like designer bags rise, the demand for them often drops significantly, as people can easily substitute them for less expensive options. Luxury goods have high elasticity because consumers are very sensitive to price changes. Next, Tim, who lived a more modest life, made his way to the market. He had been thinking about buying a new jacket for the winter, as his old one had started to wear out. As he walked through the clothing section, he found a jacket that was both warm and affordable. However, he noticed that the price had gone up by 20% from last season. Tim thought for a moment but decided to go ahead and buy it. After all, he needed it to stay warm, and the price increase didn't bother him too much. Tim's decision was a classic case of inelastic demand. Unlike Clara, he didn't have a strong desire for the jacket, and there were no better substitutes for staying warm in winter. Even though the price went up, Tim still bought the jacket because he needed it. Inelastic demand refers to situations where price changes don't significantly affect the quantity demanded because the goods are necessities or have few substitutes. For Tim, the increase in price didn't alter his need for warmth. Finally, George, who was an avid consumer of fast food, stopped by a food stall to get his favorite sandwich. However, the stall owner had just increased the price of sandwiches by 10%. George hesitated for a moment, but then decided he couldn't resist the craving. The price increase was a small change and he felt it was still worth the cost. As he ate, he noticed that many other people were still enjoying sandwiches despite the price hike. But as George looked around, he realized that some people had started to look at other food stalls in the market, checking if there were any cheaper options. If the prices continued to climb, George wondered if he would switch to a different snack. This was an example of unitary elasticity. In cases of unitary elasticity, the percentage change in quantity demanded is exactly proportional to the percentage change in price. For George, the price increase didn't change his decision immediately, but over time, if the price kept rising, he might look for alternatives. The demand wasn't drastically affected, but it wasn't immune either. As the day ended, the three friends sat down together at a cafe. They discussed their experiences and realized something interesting. Clara, Tim and George had all responded differently to the price changes in their purchases, depending on their preferences and the necessity of the goods. Their day at the market had taught them a valuable lesson about the ranges of elasticity in economics. Elastic demand, like Clara's designer handbag. When the price of a good increases, and the quantity demanded decreases significantly, it is said to have elastic demand. Luxury items or goods with many substitutes tend to have elastic demand, as people are more likely to adjust their purchasing behavior when prices rise. Inelastic demand, like Tim's winter jacket, when the price of a good increases but the quantity demanded stays relatively the same, it is called inelastic demand. Necessities like food, healthcare, or heating typically have inelastic demand because people can't easily reduce consumption when prices rise. Unitary elasticity, like George's sandwich, when the price increases and the quantity demanded changes by exactly the same percentage, this is unitary elasticity. It's a balance. Demand is somewhat sensitive to price changes, but not dramatically so. Often, goods like fast food or common consumer goods exhibit unitary elasticity. And so, just like their varying preferences and habits, The elasticity of goods plays a huge role in the decisions people make when prices change. Whether it's a luxury good, a necessity, or a commonly consumed product, understanding elasticity helps explain how markets function and why people buy what they do in the face of price shifts.